Hey guys, welcome back to OCO Social Impact Podcast, where we are here to prepare and equip social impact leaders one day at a time. If you have not met me, my name is Jaylee, and I am the founder of Our Corner One, that I call OCO for short. And I created this collective organization to just equip different leaders that are in the social impact space and want to make a difference in the world, but may have limited resources, limited networks, or limited education on things that they should do when they're wanting to launch a program or a project of some sort that is intended to bring impact to other individuals. And so I hope that you guys are enjoying the content and will keep following along with me as we are growing together. In today's episode, we're going to talk about cost-effective strategies to prevent burnout within yourself as a leader and within your staff or your employees. And if you've been watching some of my videos or podcasts, I've been talking about different things related to leading an organization in scarcity. We have been learning throughout the data that has been released that a lot of nonprofits are trying to figure out how to pivot the work that we do and how we do it due to the lack of funding in some nonprofits, but also the high levels of employee burnout, meaning a lot of our employees are leaving. So I wanted to talk about some cost-effective strategies that will be helpful for you guys as you are figuring out ways to revamp the organizational culture while engaging with your employees to figure out what their needs are. So let's get started. So the first point that I want to talk about is making sure that there is an open line of communication within your organization for employees to be able to share any grievances or any concerns that they may be having when it comes to the work that they're doing. When it comes to a safe space, you want to think about the holistic perspective of your employees. You know, a lot of times we are engaging in different DEI activities that may not always be profitable when you are trying to figure out how to engage your employees. Sometimes they just want to know that their leaders are listening to them. And many times executive leadership are focused on different areas and aspects of the organization, such as bringing in funding, making sure that they're maintaining relationships with high donors, engaging with the board of directors and so forth, but you neglect to engage with your employees. I think one of the first things that you can think about when figuring out how to better embed the staff into the work of the organization is letting them be a part of the decision-making process. This is something that I have seen a lot in my current job, as well as volunteering with different organizations, where a lot of times the project managers, the program managers or coordinators, they were sharing different grievances about how they wish they would have been a part of the decision-making process when it comes to certain policies that were implemented or changes that happened, because you have to remember that your staff are the hands and feet of your organization. So a lot of times they may know a little bit more than you do because they're the ones that's doing the work day in and day out, depending on the area of change that you're looking to change. And so creating a environment that allows for healthy and open communication starts with figuring out how to best embed your employee perspective into the organization. And as you bring them into the decision-making processes and allowing them to share their perspectives and give feedback and things of that nature, you're able to show them that, hey, we value your perspective and we want to hear what you guys have to say. Every nonprofit is structured differently. You have some that are highly organized than others, and then you have nonprofits where there are multiple people wearing multiple hats. And so when you are a nonprofit that has a small staff that does a lot of work, you definitely want to make sure that you are checking in with them to see how they're doing in these different areas of their job. A lot of times they're burnt out or they're overworked, but their passion is there and they want to make sure that the mission of the organization is being propelled forward. So you want to honor that by checking in with them and allowing them to come into a space where they can just kind of disconnect from the work that they're doing and let you know this is what they're feeling and how they feel. Staff retreats are a great way to engage your staff. You can maybe bring in a guest speaker and they can share a presentation on a topic that your organization needs to hear about, or you can take your staff to a remote space where they're able to just disconnect from everything and just stop all operations for that day, and then you guys can connect with each other as humans. We want to remember that yes, we are doing a lot of impactful work, but we are humans as well when we are engaging in the work that we do. So those are some things that you can do as far as setting the tone so that your employees know that their voices are heard, their voices are cared about, and the leadership wants to incorporate their decision-making processes with their employees. The second point that I want to talk about is considering flex work schedules. If COVID-19 wasn't a wake-up call for the world and the different workforce sectors, then I don't know what will be a wake-up call. We have to let go of the traditional modalities of how we do work. There are so many environmental circumstances, a lot of responsibilities that these individuals in the workspace are taking on. And when you are engaging in front-facing work with vulnerable populations in particular, it can be emotionally detrimental if you can't really take a step back or take a break from engaging in the work that you do. What I do appreciate about my job is that my supervisor allows us to work from home 2 days a week. This is very, very lucrative for me because I love the work that I do. I work with graduate students and do a lot of programming efforts for their needs. But there are some times where I just want to be at home. There are some times where I want to unplug from socially engaging with individuals because we do a lot of that day in and day out. So I am able to then structure my remote days where I'm focusing more on administrative things, more clerical duties that allow me to just be in silence, be in peace, and not really have to engage with individuals as I normally would have with a traditional 5-day work week that's in person. Not only allowing for flex work schedules, think about the benefits packages that you're offering your employees. We know that most nonprofits that are mid to smaller size tend to not have the best salaries for their staff, and that's totally understandable. You're working with what you got, but thinking about different ways to be flexible with the benefits that you allow them to have, or even allowing them to, for example, if you guys had a fundraising event and everybody was, supporting this event, so it was kind of all hands on deck. We've been working for the last few months to pull this event together. After the event ends and it's been successful, allow them to work from home, or do something special for them where, it's kind of an exchange and pay time off or something. There are creative ways for you to engage with your staff. When we do conferences at my current job, sometimes our supervisor will allow us to stay home, and so it's a paid time off opportunity, and we're able to just take a break and rest, and that day is still paid and accounted for and not held against us. So those are ways that you can engage with your staff, and of course make sure you're thinking about what is unique to your organization. Every organization is different and have different needs, so keep that in mind. One thing that I do want to talk about is setting boundaries. When you are in social impact work, that can be really difficult to do depending on the type of work that you're engaging in, especially if you're a program manager and you have different caseloads of individuals that you're working with. Boundaries should be set at all levels, starting from executive leadership with the board of directors, and then on down to managers, and then your staff and volunteers. depending on how the organization is structured. When leaders set the tone for healthy boundaries, and I'm not necessarily talking about, cutting off your email at 5 o'clock p.m. Like, that is one thing that you can do, but when you display a healthy leadership style where you have a healthy work-life balance, if you are married, if you have children, if you are an individual that likes to do a lot of traveling, you can model different behaviors that your employees can model and see, okay, my leader isn't a workaholic that works, 20 hours a day and has that same expectation of us to work 20 hours a day. One of the worst jobs that I ever worked for was under a leader that was a brilliant individual, but they loved to work. They did not have any kids. They did not have a family. It was literally them. And so a lot of their time was devoted to making sure that, everything was being taken care of at the job. Now, while it's nothing wrong with that per se, they definitely made it clear that we had to operate that way. So we would be getting calls and emails at weird times of the day and night. Part of our job required us to be on call. So that was already, a level of boundary that was really hard to navigate and manage, because when you're serving on call for a week straight, 24 hours, you have to really rearrange your schedule to do what you need to do. But on top of being on call and all of the daily administrative responsibilities, it was always this kind of fear that you have to work, you have to make sure that you're doing something, because this is how this leader operated. Please don't be that leader. Give your staff flexibility. Let them engage with the work the way they need to. It's important to remember that everybody doesn't have the same work ethic. And when you hire these individuals, you hire them because you trust the work that they've been able to accomplish throughout their career and what they can bring to the table at your organization. So making sure that you are modeling healthy boundaries for your staff is important, and embedding that into policies will also allow for them to have a healthy work-life balance as well. And then the final point that I want to talk about as I conclude this video is figure out creative ways to show appreciation. Everybody likes to be appreciated. You have some people that, they walk in this kind of false humility and saying, oh, I don't mind, I'm just here to do the work. But everybody likes to feel appreciated in some way. Some people like to be appreciated openly, others like to be appreciated in more of an intimate setting. Either way, thinking about different ways to just show your appreciation to the staff and letting them know, hey, thank you, we appreciate the work that you do, is very important to them, and I believe that it'll help increase the morale of your organization. Some of the best leaders that I have worked for have always been those that, one, have a collaborative approach to leadership, and two, they really are humble and do the best that they can to show gratitude. Gratitude goes a long way for a lot of people, and especially when it comes from a genuine place. And I get it, as leaders, you have so many competing responsibilities. You're trying to manage the organization, keep it afloat, bring in the funding, manage everybody, and then be held accountable to different stakeholders. It can be very stressful, but as you are reevaluating the state of your organization, figuring out ways to bring in more of a posture of gratitude can really go a long way of activating your staff, especially when you guys are really going through some difficult seasons within the organization itself. So some forms of recognition for the staff can be, giving out small gifts, engaging with, different parties or a dinner that's paid for, or sometimes just letting them take the day off. I have had supervisors where they're like, we know you guys don't care about this, just go home, and we were like, oh my gosh, thank you. This is so great that we get to go home. I can run and do some errands that I normally wouldn't be able to do because, I'm working at these hours. And so just the point that I'm making here is just get creative, be innovative in how you engage with your staff. And the earlier you do it and the more frequent you do it, the better, versus you're just doing this because you have to do this, So these are some strategies that I think will be really low cost. I think when a lot of leaders think about, engaging with their staff and developing them, they think, oh my gosh, this is going to cost some money. And in some cases it is. What you put a dollar towards is what you believe is valuable. If you believe that investing in your staff is valuable, then you will put the money that's necessary to go towards it. However, I just wanted to share some tips that I think are low cost and more so focus on the organizational health and culture and how you activate your staff. So to recap, we talked about 1, developing an open, respectful communication structure within your organization. 2, we talked about considering some flex work policies and schedules that will be very beneficial for the leaders as well as the staff. Point 3, set some boundaries and making sure that as a leader you are actively embracing a healthy work-life balance for your staff. And then the final point, show appreciation and making sure that you're doing this frequently and in the beginning stages of your organization is important so that your staff know that their work is seen and valued and heard. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you're following me on YouTube. If you're engaging with my podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please like. I see that you guys are actually listening to my stuff and I'm very grateful, but I want to make sure that you guys are actively engaging with me. So please like, please comment, please leave any feedback that you may have, and until next time, try to make the world a better place today.